Nigeria, there are still many there. There are many. I believe that those people, they said that they are
when you begin to hide yourself
of the business I'm doing, how to keep business, like customer business, you see.
Hello and welcome to Talking Migration. I am Oyi Adekunle. Now, Libya has been in the news for quite some time now, but not necessarily for good reasons. Recently, about 53 migrants were killed, with 130 others wounded from an airstrike which hit a detention center near the Libyan capital, Tripoli. In May, the UN Refugee Agency had called for the evacuation of migrants at the Tachura Center after a projectile landed less than 100 meters away, injuring 2 migrants. Meanwhile, the United Nations has condemned the airstrike, calling for an immediate end to efforts to return migrants to Libya. Now, about a week after that attack, no fewer than 100 migrants were released from the shelled detention center. Officials said the decision was reached after the series of protests by the migrants. One of the officials, however, confirmed that about 110 other migrants remained at the complex, lying in the open air and using mattresses as shelter from the sun, with many of them refusing to go back inside the hangar for fear of any further airstrikes. And now, how this affects Nigeria, the Nigerian Foreign Ministry and the Foreign Affairs Ministry has revealed that 9 Nigerians were killed in that particular attack. The figure was released after preliminary findings of the Nigerian mission officials who visited the center. They also identified and took into custody 3 women, 1 man, a toddler, and a 10-year-old boy. Now, the spokesperson of the ministry, Friday Akman, noted that the mission is awaiting the list from the center to ascertain whether there are other Nigerians affected by the blast. Well, 165 Nigerians, including children and infants, have now believed to be part of those released from the shelled center have now been brought back into the country. Of course, courtesy the European Union and International Organization for Migration, IOM joint initiative. And of course, Talking Migration will be bringing you more updates as events unfold in that area. And let's now go on a short break, and when we return, I'll be discussing more about the Libyan airstrike with my guest. Please don't go away.
What is this sound?
You're welcome back to the program. I'm now being joined by Osita Osemene, who is Executive Director of Patriotic Citizen Initiative. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Onyi, for having me.
Now, being someone who has been in this situation before, how did you receive the news of the airstrike in Libya?
Well, it was very disheartening, quite unfortunate that souls were lost. It was shocking because I couldn't imagine a situation where they could be attacking a detention center where you have fine, even if their status are irregular, but they are innocent citizens of a country. They were just attacked for no reason. You know, such a situation, they were supposed to be protected under the international protection rights. They are supposed to be kept in a safe place or being protected by the armed forces. But unfortunately, they were, you know, that place was attacked and a lot of souls were lost. It was quite unfortunate.
But you know, the UN said that just before that attack, there had been a similar one about 100 meters away. So would you say that the target was really the detention center, or it was just something that happened? Yeah,
from sources and from findings that we also made, we found out that there have been some kind of scuffle among the migrants and some of the military, the armed forces, you know, that actually were guiding there. So I felt that there could have been it could have been a targeted this thing against the migrant because, you know, along the route, migrant has always been a kind of they are not friendly with the armed forces, especially when it comes to do with the black migrants. So, and it was quite unfortunate because from our findings, we found out that the situation became tensed when some of them had issues among migrants and the military men. So I am of the opinion that what led to that could have been that the migrants should be brought down, because there's cases, even back, where they open fire on detention camps. You know, where migrants, they open fire and migrants will be dying. So yeah, I think it's not a new thing now in Libya. And having known that there's war too, so.
And then there are reports that some of these migrants are used as human shields by the warring parties. Do you think that that's true? That's correct?
Since the war began, since the Arab Spring 2011, it has been like that. Some of the migrants have been used for shield. They have also been used to service their guns, their bombs. You know, they have been used to carry their weapons. So,
when you say service their guns, what does that mean?
Yeah, they were trained. They trained them to help them service their arms. You know, guns they need services. You know, they clean the bombs, they clean the guns. You know, so that is being used. So most of the migrants, like the ones that return, they will tell you that they have used some of these guns in Libya. You know, when they keep them in detention camps or even in the custody of the armed forces, they use them to maintain their arms. Let me use that word, maintain. Yeah. So it's a pitiable situation, and also something that one cannot comprehend that these migrants undergo. You know,
So we found ourselves in this situation where, and the thing is, when the migrants are intercepted, that's when they try to cross the Mediterranean Sea. Because many of those migrants you find in detention centers, I believe there are those who were intercepted by the Libyan Coast Guard and taken back to Libya. And then of recent, we've had the EU talking about not returning migrants to their countries of origin. But I think there's a contradiction here, because as much as we know, the Libyan Coast Guards are being paid by European Union member countries, and then you're saying return them to their countries. So what exactly do we do in this situation?
Yeah, it depends on the context. They return them to their home. I think what the EU is doing now is returning them back to their home. Then I'm sure the payment done by the EU countries were to prevent African migrants from crossing to Europe or to other countries, you know, through their seas. And I think that's what led to having a lot of detention centers in Libya, and led to incarcerations and slave markets and all these things, you know. So I think they got it wrong. The Libyans got it wrong by converting it now to slave market. The idea was to support the Libyans to ensure that these people do not have the capacity to cross, you know, to cross the Mediterranean Sea. But at the end of the day, it turned out to be the other way around. They're not using it a kind of a man inhumanity to man. You know, they now, you know, kill them, you know, incarcerate them, sell them into slavery. Even recently, for some months now, we've been hearing about organ harvesting and all these things. So now they've turned it to a kind of trade, you know, on humans, and which is a terrible issue. And I think the EU now is trying to address the issue by ensuring that these things are being addressed in a different perspective, not being handled in a way that to look as if they are being wicked or trying not to. I think recently the EU is saying that, okay, let the Italian government is saying, okay, now let the EU organize a kind of situation where people who are really seeking for asylum should be flown down to Italy from maybe Libya or from any other country, rather than crossing them through the Mediterranean Sea. So I think that is human enough. But, you know, knowing that such order too could increase the level of, you know, also people still looking for that advantage. I'm not going to that place to, you know, lie and do all sorts of things. But I think it's more human than what we are seeing now. Because at the end of the day, you find out that people who are in the sea trying to claim a kind of, in the name of assistance, in the name of rescue, they also connive with some of these Libyan army and Libyan Coast Guard to commit all sorts of atrocities. you know, take money, kill these people, you know, all in the name of assisting them.
All right, so you don't think that those ones that are in detention centers currently should be sent to their home countries?
No, of course. They should be sent to their home countries for safety. Because even the country you are going to, you are not even sure of it. Where you are, there's war. And where you are going to, you are not sure. You know, so for me, I think I should also be an advocate of asking them to come back. You know, when they come back, they undergo a kind of a process whereby, because we are not saying people should not travel, but if you must travel, you should do it in a dignified manner. You know, why living from, there must have been series of kind of dehumanization in that detention center that will require you coming back to, you know, rearrange yourself before traveling. You know, so I think I'm of the opinion that people at the detention should be brought back, because a lot of them have gone through a lot of things there. If they open their mouth to tell you what they have got, some of them are even mentally derailed. You know, a lot of people we have seen, you'll be saying a different thing, they'll be saying a different thing. So I think they need to do that even as fast as possible. I learned that they have released them. They've asked them.
I was going to get there. Like, releasing them, is it any better? Because there's some of them who don't have places to go.
Because the tension was so much. You know, the fear of not having, the fear of having a kind of avoiding another attack. That was the reason why they were asked to go. But asking them to go to where? Who is going to rescue them? Because I learned that a lot of them even were trekking towards Tunisia, you know, Turkey, finding their safety. You know, so it will be difficult to even ascertain the number of people who have left the detention center. And there are so many. And along the line, some of them could even get into the hands of militia groups in Libya that could even kill them more. So it's a terrible situation. Fine, it's a good thing to ask them to go, but there would have been a proper way, by the kind of a more organized way, you know, to assist them.
But in all of this, you know, there are people who still think that it's better to travel in war condition than when everywhere is safe. So what would you say to that? Yeah,
you know, you see, what happens in this situation is that, you know, the issue of traveling, especially this Libyan route or Morocco route, is all being packaged by a kind of syndicate, a syndicate group. You know, it's a trade, it's a business, it's a trans-Sahara trade being done by smugglers and traffickers. So, and having known from experience that roads are usually easier, or they move better when there's trouble, because in the past years, rebels have been existing in deserts. You know, people that are maybe war rebels, and all, they've been in the desert, and people have been traveling. And when you get to where they are, they have agents that pay them. You know, so most of these traffickers they have capitalized on this, and they know that there had never been a time there have been peace in movement in the Sahara Desert. You know, it has always been a situation where you are always being put in a cage or put in a place, you know. So it has been the system. So, and during war in Libya, the travel you had the largest number of migrants during this war period, because they were, you know, the traffickers made more money, they had more impact because they were really working with the soldiers and the rebels, you know. So it was easier for them. And you know, even the time that there was no war in Libya, you don't travel in the day, you've been smuggled. And you're being smuggled, you pay the security agencies. So you see that it will even be easier during maybe crisis, because the security agencies will be freer to even take money during crisis, and they capitalize on that, and you know, they make sure you get to your destination. Though even along the line, you will still be detained, because they do it under the cover of, okay, fine, we want to still assist you. But you know, with the intervention of the EU, they collect money from you, they have collected money from the EU, and they will still put you in detention center. So it is terrible now because of the intervention of the EU. But the truth is that the trafficking business and smuggling business thrive more during crisis period. Yeah, that is just the truth.
And then from what we read and hear, it does look like things may get worse before it gets better in Libya. The war situation doesn't look like it's abating. different bodies have been trying to broker peace between the warring factions, but things are not just getting better yet. So what is the fate of Nigerians who are still trapped in that country?
Yeah, the issue is that, you know, Nigerians are very stubborn, and most of them don't even, I think some of them, from what I have seen, a lot of them prefer to be there, because just last month, a few weeks back, somebody was confirming to me that the sister-in-law just got into Libya. I said, for what? When they are bringing people back? He said, well, the elder brother is there. He has a handwork. He's into fridge repairing. And you know, most times you find out that even in Libya, the places that are crisis, that we call it uptown, but the downtown seems to be peaceful. You know, like Muzuk and Gatron seems to be peaceful. And there are no wars there. So, and most of these Nigerians, when they get there, they try to, you know, buy time, you know, and start walking there. Maybe after some time, when they notice that the waters or the road is now calm, they find a way to cross to the Mediterranean Sea. So, the idea of Nigerians moving, most times, they move to stop at a certain stage, waiting for a period of time where there will be kind of calmness on transit. Because Tripoli, Benghazi, and some of this country, which is known as uptown, is where they are really having issues, where the war is hot. You know, Musrata, Suprata, you know, that's where they are really having those issues. So they wait. When they notice that there's a calmness in the war zones, you see them, they start moving up. So most Nigerians go now to stop at downtown. And it's still trending, because why will it not trend when there are people who are doing it every day, who are canvassing people, who are really making it, using it as a means of livelihood? So it will thrive, you know. And on our own part, we also try to ensure that we talk to some of these people, that it is not the way they paint it, that is the way it is. But Nigerians, they won't hear, especially our youths. They will tell you that they will go, that if this person have gotten to that place, I can get to that place. And they have different means of movement. If you block Kano, the border now, they will go through Sokoto. If you block Sokoto, they will go through Katsina. If you block Katsina, they will go through Seme border. So it's a terrible...
Because it's really surprising that it is still going on.
Even within Nigerian road, between Lagos or between the east and Kano, you see checkpoints. If you're a young boy and you're traveling with a young, they will bring you down and ask you, where are you going to? If you say you're going to Kano, they will investigate further. But still, people are moving. You know, people are moving. So just a few weeks back, I was coming from Benin. When I got to the park, and I saw a lot of youths, you know, in the car, I was asking myself, where are they going? Until I got to Lagos, I found out they were dropping at different, you know, bus stops. They were heading towards Ghana. You know, you ask yourself, in a bus where you have about 15 passengers, 10 of them young boys with this backpack, yeah. They're leaving the country. Where are they going to? Some, they could tell you they are going to Ghana. Maybe they're even going to Libya. You don't know. Because there is a link between Benin Republic, Mali, then you can find yourself to Libya.
Are these areas not guarded?
Well, that is why I mentioned, I said, most of this journey tries more when there's crisis. When you say guided, who are the people guiding it? You understand? Who are the people guiding it? And on what ground, what kind of context do they guide the place? Are they guiding it that when they come to bribe their way, they will not pass? And mind you, that somebody is controlling them. That's why I say there's a kind of a syndicate business in nature. There's someone who is there. Okay, at a certain time, you even find out that there is one of the security agencies even at that spot. Maybe one of them may be part of the syndicate. So it's a terrible situation. You know, the connectivity and the chain
is a full-blown industry.
Yeah, it's a full-blown industry, you know, that looks like it is not a criminal industry, but it's criminal in nature. You know, so they unconsciously get involved and move people.
So, you know, for civil society organizations like yours, you do a lot of what's it called now, awareness and all of that. So what exactly are we not doing? Because we still see that people are going. Yeah,
for now, we have found out that one of the the major factor that we used to talk about before, poverty is not really the main issue now. Now we used to talk about the lack of information, that people are not properly informed. Yes, we have done a lot in information. We have shown the dangers of migration and all these things, but there is more to it. I think people have lost the old values. People are now becoming so desperate that they are no more patient. They no more believe in what they can even do for themselves. And they just believe that if they don't leave the shores of this country, that they cannot make it. So some of these things we need to now begin to talk about, because it has gone beyond talking about don't travel, traveling by road is dangerous. They don't even want to know anymore. If people know that sniper can kill and they buy sniper to kill themselves, so it's very easy for somebody to believe that, okay, if I just have 100,000, I can cross to Italy, and chances of 50-50, so they don't care. You know, they might be lucky, they might not be lucky. So the whole thing is getting, you know, the whole narrative is now becoming so terrible that Nigerians need to really go back, especially our youths. Because even at the point when we get to border campaigns and you are seeing somebody that is moving, you are telling the person, say, I beg, stop telling me that. If you even tell the person that you have gone there before and you return back, he will tell you, because you did not succeed, so you don't want me to succeed, you know? So it's a whole lot of things now that we need to begin to look at value system. Now, we need to still begin to look at family. The families have failed in their own way. A lot of families are supporting some of these things now. Why? Is it because they want to see themselves be like the other families? So some of these things we should begin to talk, because if you say we are not working, a lot of people are working. The organizations and the government agencies that are doing campaigns, they are doing a lot. Like the NAPTIP, they are doing a lot. You know, civil society organizations, they are doing a lot. The intervention NGOs, international NGO, IOM, they are doing a lot. So what else? I have come to realize that, yes, you bring them back, you settle them. At times you settle somebody, you open a shop for the person. After 1 month, 2 months, the person will tell you, we still sell the things and want to go back. It's either he go back by the road or he looks for another alternative that will take him out of this country or out of this country. So there's a whole lot. I think everybody really needs to begin to think back. How did we get here? You know, what have we been doing before? What did we do before that we got it right that we're not doing now? Because before, outside was not as popular as this. You know, going to Europe or going to Canada or America wasn't as popular as this. You know, but now, why is it becoming so popular? Why would they tell a young boy or a young girl that if you come to drive in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi or Oman, you are going to be paid 250,000 naira a month, and you will hurriedly, your family will hurriedly give you money, support you, and give you a tourist visa to go and get a job. So the whole story, the whole thing is becoming so funny that the system will now begin to check itself. Families should begin to check itself. Everybody, you know. So the concept of migration now in Nigeria has changed to a situation that if care is not taken, there will be a time we will also run into more troubles than what we have run into now. You know, and look at the adverse effect of people who have been in detention center. They have shot. That I made mention of servicing guns, helping them to maintain guns. What are the adverse effects? When they come back, how do we take care of them? It's not just settling them. Some of them can become anything. We have so many issues now in Nigeria called bandits and whatever. You know, some of them can be used for anything they want to be used for. So I think we have to do more. Yeah, we have to do more.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I hope we get it right before it gets worse. Thank you very much, Osita Osemene, for your time.
Thank you.
And that's the much we can take on the program today. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, you can watch previous episodes and lots more by logging onto our website at tv360nigeria.com. Or better still, you can join our YouTube channel at TV360 Nigeria across all social media platforms for TV360 Nigeria. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.